You want to work with an agent who's going to give you an as-is value. Make sure this all comes down to math and ensuring that you are going to get, I would say, at least $3 to $5 for every dollar you put into it. So it's definitely something that money is time. An appraised value or a valuation on your home is technically good for the day that it was done. Should I renovate my home before I list it, or should I sell it as is? Huge question. Probably one of the biggest questions that I get as a real estate agent. So the short answer is it depends. But I'll kind of expand on what it means to say it depends. So when it comes to what kind of money and renovations should you put into a house? First and foremost, my general rule of thumb, you got to make sure that there's going to be a return on investment, an ROI. So you want to work with an agent who's going to give you an as-is value. If you do all these things, then how much would you list it for? So make sure this all comes down to math and ensuring that you are going to get, I would say, at least $3 to $5 for every dollar you put into it. So if you put in, 10 grand, you should be able to get $30,000 to $50,000 back out. Whenever I make recommendations, I'm always looking at it from that ROI standpoint. How much of a hit are they going to take if they don't do this? The other thing you have to consider too is that if you do decide to put your money into the house and do some renovations, it needs to be done very quickly, because if you take 6 months to renovate your house and the market turns in that 6 months, then you could have lost everything that you just put in or more. So it's definitely something that money is time. An appraised value or a valuation on your home is technically good for the day that it was done, because anything could change tomorrow. So you want to make sure that you do something that is going to be within a good, a tight time frame. You've also got to be able to balance, what is your bandwidth? Do you have the bandwidth to put in all of this work? Because depending on the extent of the home renovations, there can be, a lot of stress, a lot of decision that has to be made, a lot of upheaval of your lifestyle. So do you have the bandwidth for that? And then you also want to make sure that you're looking at what the market standard is in your area. So are you living in a neighborhood where maybe all of the houses are completely turnkey, model perfect show places, and yours is the one house that isn't? Well, then it may be really necessary for you to bring your house up to market standard, or it's going to be sold more sort of on an investor type of a level. You definitely do not want to appeal to a cash flipper investor. So there's three types of buyers typically. One is a cash flipper investor. They're the ones that buy the homes that are, I buy ugly homes, that kind of thing. You will get maybe 70 cents on the dollar when you sell to somebody like that. The second kind of buyer is an investor, but they're looking to rent it out. They'll pay for more. I mean, they will pay more because their ROI is in the long-term appreciation of the real estate asset. But the buyer that's going to pay the most amount of money is going to be the buyer that's going to move into the house. They want to call it home. And those are the ones that, they tend to want to just buy something and not have to do anything to it, just bring all their stuff and move in. So that's who's going to pay the most for the house. There are definitely some things that I always recommend in any listing that are going to give you an ROI. Number one is curb appeal. Get the front lawn nice and pretty green, plant some little flowers, whatever it is. Make sure that front of the house looks really nice. Curb appeal is huge. Be surprised how many buyers just keep on driving or completely pass it up on the internet, won't even go see it because it just doesn't look good from the front. The next thing is that you want the house to be clean. I mean, a dirty house, a grimy house, a house that smells is absolutely repulsive, and buyers will literally run right out of the house before they've had a chance to even tour it. So make sure the house is clean. Invest in really good deep cleaners to go in and scour the house. Another thing is the backyard. You want to make sure that the backyard is appealing. So again, grass is mowed, or you've got maybe some furniture out there that just makes it look like it is appealing. Insofar as paint, yes, definitely a fresh coat of paint on the inside is great, but paint can also sometimes, depending on your budget, it can kind of be expensive. It can also be a real big disruptor because you've got to move everything in the house in order to have that paint done. But hey, I'm never going to complain about a fresh coat of paint. I definitely am a huge fan of staging. Staging, it works like magic. Staging a home can distract a buyer from a lot of other flaws in the home or things that they may overlook. Maybe you've got like a dated kitchen, or you've got a dated flooring or something like that. But when you've got modern furniture and you've got really good staging, it brings the whole entire vibe into today's era. So I'm a huge fan of staging. So curb appeal, cleanliness, backyard, staging, and if possible, then doing some painting and touch up around. Those are my biggest things. And, in terms of other more extensive renovations, I would definitely say consult with your listing agent and find out if there is going to be a big ROI on that. We all know that once you start to renovate, where do you stop? Because if you start with the kitchen, now the floors are outdated and now the bathrooms are outdated, and it starts to just become a domino effect, and before you know it, you're knee deep into some big complete gut of your house. So I don't necessarily think that that's always required or that it's necessarily wise. You definitely just want to make sure you've got a sharp pencil and that you are keeping track of how much it's costing you, how much you can expect to get, and you've got to do those renovations in a very short period of time. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Be sure you like, subscribe, and follow me for more real estate information.